One day, 5 years ago, I get a call from my bank. They were saying that I was $15,000 in credit card debt. Now it caught me completely off guard because all my bills were paid and I didn't have a credit card to my name. It turns out my business partner at the time, she had illegally opened up credit cards in my name to finance manufacturing inventory that she was supposed to be paying for. Fast forward to 3 nights later, I find myself in a jail cell wondering, how did I get here? I'm sitting around murderers, killers, and I didn't do anything wrong and I'm stuck in a cell. My business journey to get to here was not easy by any means. Now I make over $150,000 per month from the internet, from a laptop just like this, anywhere I want. Mexico, Costa Rica, it doesn't matter. I'm making money from the internet. But the road to get here was very hard and long. This is why I want to tell you the story so I can hopefully save years of your life and save a lot of years of hardship on your entrepreneurial journey to avoid some of the costly mistakes that I made. And if you give me the next few minutes of your time, I'm gonna tell you a story that's gonna motivate you and allow you to avoid a lot of the mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make today. Now, remember, I talk to hundreds of entrepreneurs every single month who are all just like you, trying to make money on the internet. So I wanna go back to my first entrepreneurial venture. Now, I took that leap of faith into business knowing I always wanted to be an entrepreneur ever since I was a young kid because that was the most money you could make. My family didn't have money. I love my parents, but my dad, he didn't work for 10 years of my life. That put a lot of strain on my family. My mom was the sole provider. I had government funded meals as a child, and that made me want to change my family trajectory. I knew one day I'm gonna retire my mom. I'm gonna take care of my family because I hated being poor. I felt very poor, and I was just aware of how poor my family was from a young age and always wanted to change that. So I was in college, and at the time in California, cannabis was soon to be legalized. It hadn't been legalized, but it had been decriminalized. We found out there was a loophole. All you had to do was apply for some paperwork through an attorney, and you could start a gray area cannabis business. So I took that leap of faith, and shortly after, months after, the regulations completely changed. California passes all these regulations. So this little side hustle that was turning into this big dream immediately got crushed overnight by changing regulations. And I'm like, okay, I don't have the money I need to, but there's all these rich people who want to be a part of this. I've strategically moved to the city that was developing, Adelanto, a tiny little city in the middle of nowhere. Like literally places where like gangsters go and kill people and burn their bodies alive. You can look this up. If you search the town, you'll find stories like this. But they were in debt. They were about to go bankrupt. So they saw the opportunity cannabis. It attracted billionaires, pharmaceutical companies, all the biggest gangsters, mafia, everything you could imagine got attracted to this city. I mean, there was like FBI agents involved, undercover agents involved, arrests all the time. That was the first city in California that really started to accept cannabis. So I'm in the middle of all of this, and I'm just some young, hungry kid who was passionate about marketing, liked to smoke weed, and wanted to help people heal through natural remedies. And after about 4 to 5 years, I mean, it was a complete shit show. Like everything that you could imagine go wrong, went wrong. All these things you see in like Netflix documentaries about like gangsters, like those are like real things. They're built around real people, and I got to see what that was like. And after so much time in this industry, I'm like, you know what? This is just too volatile. I don't trust anybody. It's too crazy. I've put in so much work. I can go make millions of dollars in any industry. So I thought about what are my skills? Where am I best at? And I decided to pivot into the CBD industry. Now, what I did learn in the cannabis industry was some very valuable things. Your business doesn't rise to the level of your goals. It falls to the level of your systems. One of the guys who I did work with, one of the most brilliant people I've ever met to date, possibly the smartest person I've ever met. He could read a whole page of law one time, fully memorized. He wrote laws for the state of California, for the government. He had government deals already lined up for some of these contracts on these manufacturing facilities. And he just looked at business different than other people. He said, what are the legal things? What can I strategically do with what he called black letter law? And so I learned a lot, and I thought about the business, that experience that I had in cannabis, the CBD, and I built the CBD playbook of everything I wanted to do in this space. I developed a brand, I had developed products, created 27 first to market CBD products, including the first CBD infused cold brew coffee. Regulations changed again. Immediately banned CBD infused beverages. So I just kept getting like running into all these hardships, like changing regulations. And, you know, again, I didn't come for money. So it wasn't like I had tens of millions of dollars to get licensed and have all these facilities and do all these things right. I was literally bootstrapping things like every single month, worried, am I going to make enough sales to pay my rent this month? Like, these were the literal conversations that I had in my head. And so I meet this lady. She was one of my clients that I was distributing CBD products to. She's like, I want to invest. You and your business partner are so smart. And my business partner did not like her at all. He's like, no way am I going to work with this lady. I don't care how much money she's going to give us. I get a bad vibe about her. And for me, I was looking at the money. She's got $250,000. She's willing to invest in this product that I have that I think is going to like blow up. I just need the $250,000. Like, I have everything already planned. I had the website, the brand, all of it. She was financing this, and the first month everything was fine. Slowly payments started not happening. I wasn't getting reimbursed. And instead of letting this slow down and momentum lose, as you know, like, you got to keep momentum going in business, I'm just now putting as much money as I can back into this. So I'm losing, like, dwindling all my money. I get this credit card in the mail for this bill. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I call up the credit card company. They're like, you opened up this credit card. I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, yeah, you did, you know? And turns out she called in. All you need is like somebody's personal information and I think social security number, and you can call in and open up a credit card in that person's name. I didn't know that was possible. So she sends it to her. She swipes all these things, puts all this in, like all of our inventory on this credit card. I get the bill and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I already knew things were off. That same day, my web developer calls me and he says, hey, you'll never believe the conversation I had with your business partner. They said that she owns all the IP. You were just her employee, this and that. And she didn't know that this web developer had worked with me for years and was my like web developer. I had built multiple websites, you know, marketing builds. Again, I did marketing, web development for other businesses, like as like a side hustle to keep my bills, you know, my lights on. So I was like, what the fuck's going on? So at the time I had inventory at her store. She had a warehouse behind it where we were housing the inventory for our co-developed CBD product. She had inventory at my CBD store. So I'm like, okay, this is done. I'd call her up. Hey, we need to like meet. She's like, I can't meet. Let's meet Friday. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna meet Friday. I go to the warehouse, I pull out all my stuff. I'm like, fuck this lady, like I'm done. So I take out all my inventory, all the stuff I had bought, everything that I owned that was now at her warehouse, which was my business partner and where I had keys. So I get home, a few hours go by, I get a call from, you know, the police. They're like, you need to return all this inventory. We're gonna put a warrant out for your arrest and arrest you. And I'm like, this is my stuff. I own all this stuff. They're like, if you don't do this, we're gonna arrest you, find out what happens. And so I call her up, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna meet. We need to meet right now. And so I show up to meet with her and drop off all this inventory. Cops are everywhere. Immediately get out of the car. They slap handcuffs on me. Like, it was crazy, you know, like I cooperated with the police. I owned all the inventory, it had my name on it. And I'm just sitting in the back of a cop car, like thinking like, what the fuck is going on? Turns out she was best friends with the police officer. She was best friends with the highest level clearance FBI agent, which, you know, was crazy. I literally like get out of jail. I spent 2 days in jail for a crime I didn't commit. You know, I get out of jail and that's when things got really bad. I hit an all-time low. I was depressed. I was suicidal for literally 2 weeks after that. Like, I didn't even know if I was living in reality. It felt like a bad dream because like credit cards opened up in your name. You get arrested for a crime you didn't commit. Things didn't seem right. Both my brothers were overdosing on drugs. I literally witnessed my brother almost die in my hands. It was just a traumatizing event. My parents were going through a divorce at the time. I had just ended a relationship with a girl that I loved for 3 years, but I knew we weren't aligned. Like, I loved her, but I wasn't in love with her. I knew where I was going and she didn't fit into that future vision of myself. It seemed like everything was just going wrong. Thankfully, the judge saw right through this. Everything got dropped. The attorney that I hired, he's like, before you sue her, what you need to do is see if she has anything worth suing for. You know, like, you don't want to just start this $50,000 lawsuit against her to make, she owed me like 100 grand. So we hire a private investigator. Turns out she had 17 liens against her property. She had been in multiple breach of contract lawsuits. She would take money from Paul to pay John, and she used me to finance and learn a market piece. She literally stole all of it, everything that I had, just rebranded it, same colors, same everything, same product, slapped on new labels on everything, and sold it to this distributor who was already waiting. She had this deal already planned and just needed somebody like me to orchestrate it for her. So she cashed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars overnight at my cost. I was left to pay the credit card bill, because what they say is, like, if you say that it was fraudulent and they don't prove that, I forget exactly what happened, but it was like, if they don't prove exactly that claim that you're making, that it was a fraudulent charge, they're going to charge you with fraud. And I was, I literally didn't even know if reality existed, because I had been arrested for a crime I didn't commit. So I was like, this is crazy. I can't even risk getting charged with fraud. I'm gonna end up like in jail for life, because that took like months for the case to get dropped. I'm just like, there's zero chance I'm gonna pursue this, because if I get arrested again because I can't prove that she did what she did. So I just ate the credit card bill, which was not fun, but it was an incredible learning experience for me. I learned relationships over people. I had a working relationship. He didn't want to work with her, so we split up, and I chased money. One of the biggest mistakes I ever regret and learned in business is, like, relationships are so much more important than money, because let's make millions of dollars forever together. I'm not going to let this deal end a relationship that I want to do a lot of business with for years. I also hit rock bottom, and I don't think until you hit rock bottom, you don't really have room to grow. I felt as if like the goddess of fate clutched me in her hands and just smashed me to the ground, threatening to just destroy me. And eventually I had to just find my own strength and will within myself and just beat myself. One day I woke up, I said, I'm not making excuses. I'm choosing to be a victor, not a victim. I was sulking in this, like, this lady, all these bad things happened to me. And now, like, I'm so grateful that these things happened. It was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It taught me so much about myself, so much about personal development. I had literally nobody. At the time it was like right around COVID too, so everything was shut down. All the gyms were shut down. We couldn't really do anything, so everything just really crumbled. And because it was COVID, like, I saw through COVID, actually, that guy, that first cannabis guy who was neighbors with Donald Trump, he actually predicted this. He's like, buy hand sanitizer, there's this thing coming. And so, like, I literally knew COVID was going to happen before it happened. And people were like, Daniel, you're crazy. They're like, I'm like, no, this is the biggest psyop propaganda scheme ever. Like, I didn't ever believe it. So I was immediately blackmailed from everybody, all my friends, all my family, because they're like, get the vaccine, do this. I'm like, this is retarded. I learned so much that you have to be tenacious. You have to be willing to go to hell and back and beat the devil, and you have to continue advancing forward no matter what. So one day I decided I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to be a victim. And it was me versus me. That day on, a little bit better. I said, if I just need to be 1% better, I just need to do a little bit better than I did yesterday. So that was the realization I learned. In order to become a 7-figure earner, which I wanted to be, you have to become a 7-figure person. And I looked at all the things that I was doing. I was making excuses. This lady stole from me. All these bad things happened to me. I was being a victim, like living in the past. And it was a very beautiful experience, because once you realize that it's you versus you have no competition, that all you have to do is be better than who you were yesterday. Hold the word that you make to yourself and hold the word to others, and develop your character. Your character is keeping your commitments, doing the things you say you're going to do, winning the day. If you say, I'm going to do these things, make sure that you do those things. If you tell somebody you're going to be here at a certain time, you have to do those things. And it wasn't until I stopped negotiating with myself, with the devil, with all these things that I set out on, that my life started to change. I went to, actually, I think it was a Tony Robbins event. It was a virtual Tony Robbins event, because again, it was like during the COVID stuff. And that just changed my perspective. I realized how important it is to energize yourself. The self-talk that you have. You need to give yourself moments every single day to move the ball forward. And I started working on myself. I committed to the path of personal development. I wanted to become the 7-figure person so that I could become the 7-figure earner. I took the mindset, everything happens for me. So now whenever any challenge happens, no matter what it is, I've accepted that this is happening for me to grow. It's happening for me to get stronger. It's happening for me to develop more faith. It's happening for me to make more money. It's happening for me to become better. It's happening for me to become smarter. Whatever it is, like, these things all happen for me to get better and be better at what I do. Recently, like, my girlfriend, she got pregnant. Wasn't planned, wasn't ready for it. We find out it's going to be twins. I never chose to say that, oh, this is so hard. Why is this happening to me? I was like, okay, another notch on the belt. Let's go. Like I'm going to be better, smarter, stronger, faster. Everything about me is going to improve through this situation. And I never once accepted that. But it was only through all these challenges that I did accept that I learned that it's happening for me to grow and it's not happening to me. It ended up taking 2 years to get to the point where I felt proud of who I was. I moved to Newport Beach to get out of a toxic situation with roommates that just weren't on the level. You know, they worked jobs and they gossiped. They were just like doing nothing with their lives. And they all come from money, so they just had no ambition or reason to do anything with their lives. So I was like, I'm out of this place. I don't want to live around these people. I'm gonna go move to be around people that I want to be around. I moved to Newport Beach and I picked up a serving job because at that point I was like 6, maybe 7 years into my entrepreneurial career. I had lived month to month the entire time. Actually, since I was 19, I lived on my own in Orange County, month to month my whole life. My parents lived month to month. Like we literally pinched pennies and saved, like everything was about money. And so I didn't know anything else. It was just how it worked. And so I decided I'm going to pick up a serving job. I didn't want to do anything in the cannabis or CBD industry. I wanted to just fully commit to being of service to people and, you know, really building my marketing agency, which I was always passionate about. You know, I always did marketing on the side, did all the marketing plans for all these other businesses, built the marketing. But if you don't have the money to invest in marketing, you know, it's going to be really hard and you're going to have a bad time. So I was serving and I started investing in myself in masterminds. If you need a mastermind and you need somebody to teach you how to make more money on the internet, I have a mastermind. Knock out the application below. I'll teach you what I know and it can help save a lot of time. I started investing in masterminds and everybody was doing like 10K per month. I hadn't hit a 10K per month yet. It was crazy. Yeah, I was like 28. No, I had to be like 30, 31 years old. Hadn't even made 10K per month. That's how off I was. So if you're younger than me, like don't be discouraged. You know, a lot can happen very quickly when you start investing in the right mentorship and start putting yourself in the right circles. I wrote a contract. I'm giving myself from joining this mastermind 6 months to achieve this goal of making 10K per month. I ended up doing it in 5 months. And that was the first time in my life that I wrote out a goal. Like I had all these goals, but they were so wildly big, like become a billionaire, have like a fleet of cars. They were just like infinitely far out. I didn't know how to write goals. Like all my family, like I love them, but like they're not winners, you know, like nobody around me was winners. I grew up in a neighborhood of nothing but people that were not winners. You don't know. And then I moved to Newport Beach and I realized for the first time in my life what like winning mindsets are like. And it changed my life. I started investing in masterminds. Everything changed. I mean, this was like literally 3.5 years ago. And I realized the importance of creating contracts with yourself. So I wanted to take it to the next level. I stopped smoking weed. I developed a routine where, you know, life is going to happen to you. You're going to have really shitty days. You're going to have really fucking bad situations happen to you that you don't deserve to happen. It could be karma from a past life. Who knows what it is? You could have a bad thought, a fear that you manifest in reality, whatever it is. Things are going to happen and they're not going to be fair. And it's never going to be fair. But what you have to have is a formula to raise yourself up out of those slumps, out of the trenches, out of that depression, out of that feeling of sadness and sorrow for yourself. I called it my 4G formula. I always said, thank you, God, for today. I'm alive. I wouldn't do anything. I couldn't trade anything in the world for another day to be alive. No amount of money is going to change that. So God, gratitude, growth. You have to grow in some area. Learn a skill, read a book, do something to grow, and then the gym. The gym is the easiest way to raise your vibration. So you have to spend time with God. For me, that was meditation. You have to grow in some area. You have to spend time working out because it's going to raise you up. So when you do those things, that 4G formula, you could literally have the worst day in the world, chargebacks, whatever your worst day looks like. Like think of that worst day and you go and do these things, it's going to lift you up and you're going to feel like a new human. And when you feel like a new human, you're going to be able to continue building momentum. Because what happens is most people that don't win is they let those circumstances affect them. They say, oh, this happened. So they make excuses and all these other things happen like, oh, well, you know, so-and-so cut me off and then it spiraled and this, and then I decided to just give up. It's like, no, fuck that. Like, are you going to let a circumstance control your outcome? Like, no way. So I developed a formula, the 4G formula is what I call it, where I learned to control and win the day no matter what happened. I chose to operate through faith instead of fear. And I'm not talking about I believe in God, I believe in Christianity or any religion, that kind of faith. I'm talking about Do you let fear control your mind, or do you let a brighter future control your mind? Because you get hit with a chargeback, you get hit with a lawsuit, you get hit with this breakup, whatever it is, and now your mind starts going to fear, like, what if this happens? Faith simply says, like, even if this happens, I'm going to continue. I have this vision that is going to happen no matter what. So even if this bad thing happens, it's not going to stop me down from achieving my goal. And I think Michael Jordan said it best. The interviewer asked him, what would happen if you lost the game-winning shot? He says, why would I ever see myself doing something I don't want to happen? And that's what happens when you operate by fear. Is you're letting your mind run through all these scenarios that you actually don't want to happen. And faith simply says, I'm going to recognize that, I'm going to shut that down. And what's the outcome that I want? I'm going to run and feed that loop through my head. I'm going to feed that motion picture through my head until it motivates me, until it energizes me, until it picks me up. And that is what it means to operate by faith and not fear. So I know a lot of people, they say that and they're talking about God, and good for them. If you know, I have faith. I believe in God, not in the dogmatic sense or organized religious sense, but you know, more in a spiritual sense. But my faith over fear motto has nothing to do with God. It has to do with what force do you let regulate you in your mind? Are you operating out of fear? Are you moving forward with faith? And you need that faith. You need that 4G formula or some formula that works for you every single day. You need a contract for yourself that you say, I'm going to do this. And once I hit that goal, guess what I do? I write out a new contract with myself and I say, here's the next goal that I'm going to achieve. I put it on my wall and I walk by it every single day. I try to read it every single day, and it's ingrained in me. And these things that I write out, that I'm not going to deviate from these things, I force myself to do those things. Through all that, I've been able to learn a few things. And a lot of this stuff isn't like myself. You know, again, I've invested in mentorships. I've invested over $250,000 into marketing and business, online business mentorship programs in the last 3.5 years. So I've paid what people paid to go to med school in 3.5 years. I mean, I could have way nicer cars, way nicer living situations, but I choose to invest in skills because skills pay the bills. And the most valuable skills you can have are sales, marketing, content creation, and now AI is becoming one of those very valuable skills too. So I'm a master at sales, I'm a master at marketing, I'm a master at AI, and I'm becoming a master at content. So you pair all those together, and that's how I'm able to do the things that I do. Now, you don't have to do it that way though. You don't have to spend 10 years going through all these hardships. You can hire a master and pay them for what they're worth. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see, is that business owners, they want to do it all themselves. They want to know, and they're cheap. Instead of just paying an expert to do it right the first time. Now, when I think, I'm like, who's the most expensive person that claims they're the best? That's who I want on my team. All of my team, they're the most expensive. They get paid more with me than anywhere else. And I like it that way because one, they're going to stay with me because they can make more money. And two, I can hold them to a higher standard because I am paying that money. So for you, if you want to learn how to make more money on the internet, or you're not making as much money as you want on the internet, you can either hire me as a consultant or get mentorship from me, and I can shave down years of learning curves that I had to go through the hard way. So whatever the goal is, you know, for me, the big one that I hit was 100K. Now I'm working to hit $1 million a month. I changed up my agency model. I work with very select clients. I reject 5 times the clients that I take on. At least, like, there's people that apply that I don't even reach out to. These are just people that make it through and I have a phone call with and dive into their business. But I literally reject people that want to work with me because they're not in the position or their business isn't scalable enough. I need 10 businesses to hit $1 million in net revenue. I've helped businesses do that, but I didn't have a rev share deal in that. So I changed up now to have rev shares, and then I'll get paid 10% of that. So that's my goal, is to find those 10 businesses. I have a couple that I know we're going to do that with this year. We're on track. We're scaling pretty aggressively that I'm really excited for. I break down one of the case studies in some of my other YouTube videos if you want to watch that. But I remember that feeling of hitting that first 100K month. Like, because to me, I mean, there was a time in my life, like, I literally wouldn't have even believed that that was possible. Like, it was so unfathomable to me that somebody could make $100,000 in a month. I hadn't even made that in a year yet. And you're saying people make this in a month. It just like blew my mind. And I remember, like, I literally cried like the day it happened, I felt like Michael Jordan, that picture, if you look him up, like he's just sobbing, holding that championship trophy. And I felt that because I had been through every damn emotion, like everything that you could possibly imagine. I mean, it's emotional, even like going back to that and just going back to some of the challenges and circumstances that I went through on this journey. And like, I gave you the very short condensed version of it, but I remember that feeling, and it was just the best feeling in the world because I learned skills that can make a lot of people a lot of money, and I got compensated for it. You know, that's what I learned from doing that Tony Robbins event. Was he's like, your compensation is directly correlated to the value that you provide. And I decided from that day on, I'm going to provide value through marketing services. I'm going to become the best marketer I can possibly become. It's me versus me. And now I help businesses hit 8-figure years. I've helped one client hit 9 figures. You know, the biggest lesson I think so far that I learned is there's no competition but you versus you, and skills pay the bills. I wish I knew skills pay the bills. I had never even heard that until 3 years ago when I started, or 3.5 years ago when I started investing in mentorships. That was like, it was just like such a light bulb, you know, because I'd been working, chasing money, trying to build a business. And I didn't understand like skills pay the bills. If you are watching this, you either have to pay a master like myself that has the skills, or you have to learn the skills yourself. That's up to you. That's up to your financial situation, your timeline situation. You know, that's up to you to decide. But you need somebody that knows the skills, because skills pay the bills. Again, these are the skills: marketing, sales, AI, content creation. If you want to make money on the internet, you need a master at those on your team. And if you don't have it, then you need to go figure it out yourself. And until you figure it out, you're going to keep making excuses. Oh, this agency burned me. This person burned me. The economy, this, that. Skills pay the bills. Stop the excuses, master the skills, or pay for people like myself. They might be expensive, but what's going to happen is you're going to learn. You might not make money, but you're not going to lose the money. You know how many businesses I see, they hire these cheap agencies, they spend all this money, and they fucking burn through like 5 to 10 grand a month every single month. And they're like, oh, well, it's only like 5 to 10 grand because they're making like 75 grand a month or whatever, they're, small amounts of money they're making. They balk at my price, like, oh, whatever, like you're just, another agency, I'm going to go with this cheap route. And then, 12 months go by and now they're like, Daniel, I wasted all this time and money. And now they're out like $60,000, and they could have paid me one time $10,000 where they would have learned everything that they needed to. They would have never made that mistake again. And it would have been very likely that they were profitable in 30 days of hiring me. Instead, they bled out time and money. So I know what to look for. That's why I reject more business owners, because I can see those business owners. I'm like, look, if they're this slow to figure out that I'm going to solve their problems, then they're going to be this slow to get decisions made on deals, get decisions made on marketing, and it's just going to slow down the business journey. So again, skills pay the bills. You don't rise to the level of your goals in business. You fall to the level of your systems, and you have to develop yourself as a character. I see so many people skip that step. They make excuses. I can tell how they text me like, oh, so like they're just dumping emotional baggage. So I just wanted to share my story because I really haven't been that public about it. I think I've just been building myself. And there were times that I didn't like the situation. I felt like a victim, and now I'm so grateful for those situations because God's the best author. Like now I have a story where I hopefully can inspire somebody. I don't know you. I hope maybe you seeing this, you're going through hardship probably. I hope this moves you and you realize that, you got one life to live. Don't let things define you other than your own vision of yourself. Just go for it. Like who cares? Fuck the opinions of others. Fuck what people tell you to do. Do what you tell you to do. Live to your word. Do what you say you're going to do. Work very hard every single day. Learn something new every single day. And just commit to the process. It is going to be a 10 and 20, 30-year game. It's not a one-year game. I feel like I finally understand business, and I'm at it for 10 years. Now I'm an expert and authority and get all these partnership deals. That's the story. That's the process. I created this channel to help people make more money on the internet. I want to help people. I want people to get to the level that I need them to be at so that they're now like, Daniel, I make enough money. It's not worth my time to know what you know. It's not worth my time figuring those things out. I'm paying you a lot so you don't create problems for me. So you solve the problems. That's what I'm doing. That's the purpose of this channel, is to share things so that people can make better informed decisions, and then one day make enough money to hire me so that I can solve their marketing problems. So hope this was helpful, possibly inspiring. Make sure to tap that subscribe button. And if you need somebody to help you with marketing, knock out the application below or apply for my mentorship program.